Good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to the virtual Michigan International Speedway, where tonight in Michigan's Brooklyn Hills, we get set for some Truck Series action on LSRTV as the 2016 Real Sim Racing Outlaw Truck Series rolls on into tonight's round 7 for the Michigan 160. Following tonight's event, we're getting down to the final few with Charlotte, Las Vegas, and Atlanta closing out the deal. So we're starting to get down to crunch time, but we're happy to have you with us here for this 80-lap affair at the Michigan International Speedway. As always, on LSRTV and iRacing Live. Evan Pasoko, Gabriel Wood, topside with you this evening, and LSRTV's executive producer Laura Lawson in the production trailer getting us on the air. Gabe, Trucks Michigan, that's a lot of speed, a lot of draft, and it's always a very exciting race. These guys right now just about to go at it with about 3 minutes left in their opening 15-minute qualifying session, group qualifying session in the works right now that sees your fastest driver in practice topping the qualifying charts at the moment at Anthony DeBarro. Always exciting to see this kind of a track car combination. I'm looking forward to tonight because we have seen many a time, whether you've just raced it in hosted session, and we've seen it many a time as well in this series in years past, that Trucks at Michigan is always a fun time.
Oh yeah, Evan, it's almost a perfect car track combination because the truck has a lot of downforce, with that long back rear end and that low horsepower. It's got less horsepower than both the Nationwide Series, or excuse me, Xfinity Series and the Sprint Cup cars. For the first few laps, couple laps, you can run basically wide open, but then after a few laps, the tires wear out, tires get hot, you have to let off, so it's a very hard transition. So first few laps, everybody's racing hard, side by side, full throttle, and that's very exciting.
And we saw a thrilling finish here back on Monday night in the RSR Icebreaker Winter Series. That was the B cars at Auto Club Speedway, and just like that location in Fontana, here at MIS, you're looking at a 2-mile D-shaped oval for tonight's competition. Let's take a look at the championship picture into tonight's race as we roll in through round number 7. It is Chad Cole looking to get back to RSR Championship victory lane. He's out in front after 6 starts with the trip to victory lane on the year. He's in front of Ross Cato, Chad Coleman, Mike Kelly through 1, 2, 3, and 4, and in 5th in the championship, Tim Matthews. The big thing that I see in that is 6th, though. 29 points out, Daniel E. Eberhardt. I always like to say that the races that you don't win when you win championship, well, Eberhardt has made 2 trips to victory lane in 6 starts, but he's almost an entire race behind. When you're not in victory lane, you still got to kill him with consistency. That's the big focus, I think, so far through 6 round games. Now, though, into these final 3-4 races, I do think that focus is going to have to start to shift for some of the guys up near the top without wins. A guy like a Ross Cato, a guy like a Chad Coleman, 2nd and 3rd at the points without a trip to victory lane. You got to start thinking about max points every single night to stay in this conversation. Chad Cole's not out in front by a lot, just 13 points to 2nd place, but you can't sit around and be happy with top 10s anymore because it's go time, I'd say.
Evan, I'd like to draw a little comparison to the 2012 NASCAR Cup Series Championship. Carl Edwards absolutely killed everybody with consistency. I know we don't have the chase, but in 2012, when the chase picked up, Tony Stewart just absolutely killed everybody with the wins, with the points, and he was able to tie Carl Edwards and got it with the wins, with the tiebreakers. So that's going to come down to the determining factor. How many points can you get in this final stretch? Like you said, Eberhardt, he's a race behind, but he is coming. Very consistent and very fast. So I expect Daniel to climb the standings here in the next few races.
And just with that qualifying, get us drawn to a close. Again, tonight's race originally scheduled to be round 8. Of course, we had our 2nd race in the championship, though, at Atlanta be rescheduled. So that slots in behind the original finale at Las Vegas, going to be taking place on the 17th of February. Really, just into the final weeks before we get the 2016 Full Throttle Cup Series underway. This Truck Series will draw to a close. But it's another Wednesday night of RSR sim racing competition on LSRTV, and we're happy to have you with us, joining us for the ride through our partners at iRacing Live. So with that, let's take a look trackside, rack 'em and stack 'em, and look at your LSRTV starting grid for the Michigan 180. It is going to be a pole position for Anthony DeBarro, the number 9 machine. That 39.899, fast enough by a half a tenth to get pole tonight. So he'll roll that number 9 LSRTV Lymphoma Awareness Chevrolet from the pole. And outside to him is Mark Bratcher in the 46 machine, rolling from second. Daniel E. Eberhardt going to take the number 3 spot, put him inside on row number 2, and outside in 4th position, the 54 to Tim Matthews, and then rounding out your top 5 qualifiers inside on row number 3, the 41 to Corbin Hemstreet.
Your first car outside the top 5, clocking in with a 39.994. The last car to get in with the 39-second bracket is the 68 of Scott Simley. Chad Coleman in the 20 is going to clock in with a 40.048 in the 7th position. Dwayne Vincent, your Full Throttle Cup Series champion, qualifies in 8th. Matt LaCrosse and Ken Baum Jr. in the 10th position with a 40.065.
And if we look just outside the top 10 tonight, the number 66 Brian Harvey going to start in 11th and 12th position to Bobby Wetzel. Ross Cato up inside the top 3 in the championship, starting a little bit further back than he would like, but it could be a lucky or unlucky number 13 starting position for him. And then alongside him in 14th is going to be Scott Bolster, with Mike Kelly's number 24 rounding out your top 15.
Rodney Perry in the 04 is going to qualify in 16th position. Travis Burks in the 13 qualifies 17th with a 40.356. TJ Kelly and Sean Haverly are 18th and 19th. Last car in the 42nd bracket is Sean Haverly in the 19th position in the 36.
And in the final driver to put down a time in qualifying, picked up her first win in a truck last Friday night in the Rent-A-Car Truck Tour. It's Stephanie Lessentine's number 77 Toyota Tundra back in 20th. She as well is the final driver to put down a time in qualifying provisionals. Going to be dished out tonight to a couple of drivers. Alex Bergeron, 21st. Chad Cole, 22nd. However, not on the grid at the moment. He is in the sim, but your championship leader looks like he may be electing to start this race pit side. It's going to be CJ Lavere 23rd, Justin Michael 24th, Stefan Marinac 25th, John Abbott 26th, not on track, Keith Brooks Jr. 27th as well, not on track. So we'll keep you posted on where we find Chad Cole, but at least for the moment, your championship leader not on the grid, and it will be no doubt Anthony DeBarro's number 9 machine out in front, and he's had a good night so far. As I mentioned, fastest in practice, fastest of them all in the qualifying session. That number 9 Chevy looking pretty stout. However, as we know, a lot can happen between lap 1 and lap 80 tonight as we get set for 160 miles of action.
You know, Evan, Chad Cole, he never took practice, so if he does end up coming and starting on pit road, he's going to come into the session very, very green. So if he does end up starting, he's going to be, it's Chad Cole. He's one of the winningest drivers in RSR. But, the setups change and the driving changes so much, he's going to be behind the 8-ball before they take the green flag.
We start with 50% moderate track rubber usage, so it is going to be a little bit of a rubber-in racetrack for the start of tonight's race and ready to get the job done. So as always, we're happy to have you with us on LSRTV and iRacing Live. The pace car going to make the sharp left-hand turn down and out of the way. DeBarro to the restart zone, green flag in air racing at Michigan for round number 7 down to turn number 1. Number 9 Chevrolet out in front. Battle for second is between 46 and Mark Bratcher. Outside of the racetrack to the bottom, Eberhardt going to get clear. The 41 machine, Hemstreet, going to get clear as well. The inside the place to be. Top 3 single file at a turn number 2. Chad Cole, championship leader, released from his pit box, will just now roll out to the turn 1 apron.
Evan, look at that restart the 9 Anthony DeBarro got. He didn't just catch the outside lane sleeping, he caught the entire field sleeping. He had at that point about an 8 trunk length lead, but now that 46 of Mark Bratcher is catching him and bringing along that 89. He's Daniel E. Eberhardt. He actually got into the second position, followed by the 41 of Corbin Hemstreet. So here come those Boomtown trucks. Those guys from the Boomtown guys. They are absolutely flying here on the restart when they start off this race.
The top three all started on the inside of their respective lanes. 1, 2, 3 started 1, 3, and 5. The next 4 spots behind them all started on the outside of the front 4 rows. So the inside was definitely the place to be. I know there's always a lot of conversation in, I guess, all three really of NASCAR's top 3 National Touring Series about the restart zone and that, but I love the way it works on the sim. Pace car down to the green flag, drop it at the end of the restart box. The leader controls that entire window. That's about 7 seconds that he can decide to play with. Anthony DeBarro played it quite well there on the start of this race, opened himself up to not only that gap in turn 1 for the first time, which allowed him to kind of stretch that leg out on the accelerator, get a little bit of a gap, but as well, single file things out behind him because everybody was already playing catch up. He's 3/10 of a second in front of Daniel Eberhard, however, not entirely convinced that number 89 Chevy going to be given up at all. In fact, Eberhard closing a little bit that time in turn number 3. No doubt, though, that the top 2 drivers are pulling away, and they're pulling away good from a battle for third that sees to the bottom of the racetrack. Look at the 54, Tim Matthews, back up to third. He's got the 46 of Bratcher all over his deck lid, and a 41 topside, Corbin Hemstreet trying to hang on as he stuck out of the preferred groove.
From the third position goes back to 41 of Corbin Hemstreet. 46, your outside pole sitter trying to make the move. 41's got a good run. He's going to look down to the bottom, but thinks better of it. Will he pull out going through turns 3 and 4? He will not. He will stay there. So Corbin pretty content right now, riding in the 4th position right behind him. Scott Simley's looking on the outside of the 46. So Scott, he's trying to work that outside lane. Hadn't really seen that so far tonight, but it's very early, so he's trying to get some rubber up there.
And that 41 did a good job of using the outside of the racetrack. Again, we always say the bottom, the preferred place to be. It rings true at Michigan, but you don't want to be all the way on the bottom. So guys on the top side, if they can take away that, I guess maybe the first groove up above that first seam on the racetrack, you can take that away for the guy below you, pinch him down a little bit. The outside is not all that bad of a place to be. We saw the 41 execute that perfectly, as you mentioned. So Hemstreet back into the number 4 spot. Bratcher behind in 5th. Started on the outside of the front row, but hasn't been able to get back up anywhere after falling back topside in turns 1 and 2. Lost 3 spots just like that at the drop of the green flag. So all 25 drivers take the start in this one. Keith Brooks Jr. 1 lap down in 25th. Chad Cole does get out on track. Your championship leader at the moment is scored in 24th position and is 24 seconds back. So he's sitting about 2/3 of a lap behind your leaders. Not in any sort of risk, I would imagine, at the moment of losing that lead lap status, but he would like to take a caution sooner than later. Michigan is a track where it's always competitive, it's always exciting, but we can go green for a long time, if not all the way here. That is not what our championship leader would want. P24 not going to be a finish that would cut it for him. Back inside for the battle inside the top 5, and Bratcher slow in turn number 4, gave the 46, lost the handle off the corner. Good piece of driving by the Real Deal Graphics machine to hang on. He'll lose a ton of speed though down the front.
Yeah, but I was just getting ready whenever you were done. I was going to talk about, jumping the seams here. If you look along the racetrack, there's about 4 or 5 dark lines. Those are the seams to where the concrete on this racetrack or the asphalt was laid. And, those seams, if you hop those at the wrong point, that'll do exactly what that 46 did and send it around. I was going to say, taking the line away from somebody, if you do that, they haven't run that line all race or all practice. It's no man's land, basically. So if they hop that seam, it could be very unpredictable.
And seams are a good way as well of dictating a line. It helps you with your marks, but again, it dictates the line because you can't be riding on those seams. You see the leaders, left side tires down to back up. DeBarro and Eberhard look like they're lockstep with each other. The 89 using every single inch of what is a rather wide MIS all the way to the outside wall in turn number 2, keeping the pressure on the Don DeBarro. But I mean, we're only 8 laps into this race. I say only, that is 10% of the way through this time. By DeBarro getting a little bit squirrely, it's going to give a big run in favor of Eberhard. So although the race is still young, your leaders 1.8 seconds out in front already, and you look on board with that number 89 machine of Daniel Eberhard. Started 3rd, got to 2nd on the drop of the green flag. He is there, and he's riding right in the wake, right in the draft of that 9 machine up in front of him, which is allowing him to stay there. But the 9 sideways that time at a turn number 2, also going to give that car a little bit of an aerodynamic push into the corner. Eberhard and DeBarro, though, right now all over each other, almost in a tandem.
You know, Evan, you're talking about how wide the straightaways are here at Michigan International Speedway. You know, tracks like Atlanta, Texas, Charlotte, Rockingham, where I just came from Hardline, those guys, you know, they have to push up off the corner, and there's about one line you can run off the exit of 2 and the exit of 4. Michigan is so wide, if you're running that inside, you have the choice. Do I push up and use that momentum, or do I keep it down on the bottom and use that momentum down there on the inside of the racetrack and use that line? So these guys got a lot of options, and look for DeBarro to take advantage of those.
The question is, with Eberhard on the bumper of that Nana DeBarro, does he want to battle for the race lead? Does he want to take it to the number 9, or would he just rather sit there, coast, mind his own business in second, not push his truck and therefore burn up those 4 Goodyear Wranglers too early, and instead force the number 9 machine to get a little bit squirrely and get a little bit frantic? We look a little bit back in the pack, taking a look out for a couple of battles and a lot of side-by-side just outside the top 10. The 17 of Bobby Wetzel, the 1 of Alex Bergeron, they're side-by-side into the corner. Bottom side for the 17, the winning spot. Sideways we go, 3 wide down the back as it's Bergeron to the outside, and for a moment Bratcher in the middle. They cleared the 17, 46 to the bottom, and now it's Bratcher back on the attack, but he is side by side. Bergeron gonna push him way high in turn number 4. These guys getting aggressive. All of this outside the top 10, 3 wide again. To the apron goes Ross Cato.
Ross Cato, I've raced with him a ton in other leagues. He is a great driver. I can absolutely vouch for him. Great move from him, and he's going to get 2 positions in 1 if he can keep it down there on the bottom, but that momentum's going to prevail there on the outside of the racetrack. Looks like he's going to get a little bit of help from the 46, but he's going to pull low. So, yeah, the 90 of Ross Cato, look for him. He's a very consistent driver. Doesn't really show his stuff till the end, so that's a person to keep an eye on.
And this battle not going to go away anytime soon, because we talked about the draft. Well, it's just as hard to get away from somebody as it is to catch up to that pack in front of you. When you're looking at a gap of about 2 seconds, not enough draft to get there, but when you got somebody a couple of tenths off your bumper, they always have that draft. That's always an option for them. They're not going to let you run away with it any easier than you would like them to. The top 9 are single file. Make it the top 11 if you want to throw Bergeron and Cato into that conversation as well, although they're not really out of this fight quite yet. But going on 5 seconds back from the lead is where all of that is located. Meanwhile, top side, Daniel E. Eberhardt trying to hang on to the race lead. Got it at the start-finish line the last time by DeBarro. Back to the bottom of the racetrack. The number 9 machine going to take the top spot back, this time through at lap number 13. We go back to running 9, then 89. 1.6 seconds in front of Tim Matthews, the 54 machine, closing in as the top 2 do battle just a little bit from the number 3 spot, but it is a good and pretty much evenly weighted battle at the front of the field between DeBarro and Eberhardt, both of them picking up a bonus point for leading a lap so far. The ultimate objective, lead the most, get the W. Only 14 laps in, but the 89 machine showing that he wants to be the one out in front and dictating the pace as opposed to running the 9's race.
You know, Evan, you're talking about evenly weighted. You know, I was going to bring this up. Look at the top 2. Like you said, they're even. You know, they run about the same pace. You look a few cars back, they're, you know, kind of running by themselves. Then you got a couple more cars, they're about the same pace. And then this absolutely huge package, we're going almost 3 wide, going into turn 1. 17 gets cleared just before the 87 looks like gets there. But, you know, you're seeing 3 distinct groups, really. The top 2 very fast guys that are fast just by themselves. They have their own kind of speed. And then everybody towards the back, they are the exact same pace. So a lot of good racing up front, but a huge race for those final positions back in the pack.
Yeah, that battle's still well and strong, and it's still 2 wide, a couple of rows deep. Back around the number 17 of Bobby Wetzel. Wetzel slow in turn 4. Contact the 23. Around in 4. That's TJ Kelly. He'll spin down to the pit road entrance, come to a stop, no caution. We stay green, and he'll have to go on a little bit of an off-road excursion to get back to the apron, get back up to speed. That'll break up that pack real quick, though, after a lot of contact, about 6 seconds off of the race lead. Close call. We stay green. You'll take a second look.
Very lucky for us and for the rest of the drivers, not exactly for that car on the inside, but, you know, for him to slide down to the apron and to the entrance of pit road. You know, he was able to stay out of the way of everybody and not trigger a caution by iRacing standards.
Eberhardt back to the outside of the racetrack as we take a look back in the pack. Looks like everybody's got things sorted out. A couple of drivers did get some damage in that tire exchange, but now all eyes go back topside on track to Borrow. A little bit slow but a two. It's a big run for Daniel E. Eberhardt to the bumper. Not quite enough, though, to duck down and make a move with it. So he'll stick on the bumper, give him a little bit of a tap down the turn number one. And this game of chicken going to continue for quite some time if they stay lockstep with each other, running 1 and 2 at the moment. But don't think that because these guys are single file, they're taking it easy. They're digging. There goes that 89. Shorter way around the track to the inside on the D-shaped oval front stretch. And he's clear by the time we get to turn number 1. And that move by DeBarro didn't even look like a scenario where he tried to take a really light entry and dig off a little bit. It looked like he finally just took the hand out the window net and waved Eberhardt on by. No attempt to try to shut that opportunity. And like that, at lap number 18 now for the second time tonight, Daniel E. Eberhardt leads this field in front at the Michigan International Speedway, and it'll drop DeBarro for the second time back to P2. We talk about cars pushing up off the corner, swinging wide, Gabe. That number 9 machine is going up and up and up, but he's going up a lot sooner than what we're seeing that 89 machine do. Eberhardt is driving the truck up the hill. The 9 looks like he's sliding up the hill. The back end won't stay underneath him, but it's really killing him on corner exit.
Yeah, this is the first time that 9 Anthony DeBarro, remember, he got such a good restart. He was basically clear the entire field by the time they got to the start-finish line, so he has not had to deal with traffic the entire race. Now he's got that turbulent air of the 89 at Eberhardt in front of him. That's kind of upsetting his car. He's got to, kind of relearn how to drive the car. But Evan, you were talking about Anthony DeBarro kind of virtually putting the hand out the window. I think he realized the 89 at Eberhardt finally got that run he needed to. He caught that draft just right. He was close enough. He finally just gave up. He said, "Hey, you won this battle. I'll come get you whenever I'm ready." So yeah, moved Daniel Eberhardt in the lead, moved Anthony DeBarro down to second a couple laps ago. This has allowed Tim Matthews, these guys racing close. They've closed it in. Tim Matthews, Corbin Hemstreet, a little bit farther back is Chad Coleman. The top 5 kind of catching these guys, and then you've got that huge pack for the top 10.
And it was definitely the more strategic idea to wave him on by, give that spot up in the battle for the race lead. So it is going to drop DeBarro, as we mentioned, back to the number 2 spot at the moment. Couple of problems for the 22 machine, I believe. We're taking a look. Somebody got a little bit squirrely here in the 21 of Matt Lacrosse, running inside of the top 10 at the moment. He broke sideways in turn number 2, almost identically to what we saw a couple of laps prior with, I believe, might have been Ross Cato in a battle for about 12th position. 21, a little bit sideways, backed off the gas and was able to relatively easily hang on to that truck. Nothing more comes from it, and I actually don't even think that Lacrosse could lose a spot. He'll maintain 7th after running 9th on the grid. Picked up 2 spots so far through lap number 21. So he's doing a pretty good job back there in the pack, but it's not going to get any easier as the race goes on. I mentioned just before we dropped the green flag that the track starts with a 50% moderate usage from practice. Qualifying carried over, race carried over as well. Caution flags going to clean the marbles up on the outside of the racetrack, but we are still clean and green through 22 laps in this race. We talked about the problems for TJ Kelly at the 23. Now falls 1 lap to the negative. He is 24th position and in the provisional lucky dog spot at the moment. Just below him in 25th position, 1 lap down, Keith Brooks Jr. has been down there since about the start. Haverly and Abbott did not take a green flag tonight. Chad Cole still last driver on the lead lap, 25 seconds off in 23rd after he had elected to start this race pit side. But up at the front of the field, you're still seeing it's all Daniel E. Eberhardt. Now the 20 of Chad Coleman. Big wiggle at a turn number 4 for a driver inside the top 5. He'll lose 1, 2, 3, if not 4 spots, as it looks like Lacrosse, Bergeron, Baum, and company will duck to the outside of the racetrack. Dwayne Vincent going to be the big winner in that. He'll go to 5th spot after starting in 8th. One mistake could have cost you, well, what some guys have worked all 23 laps to get. So while you want to run strong, sometimes I look back at Eberhardt and DeBarro gave, but I have to look at the fact that DeBarro let him go. That's a lot better than forcing the issue, losing a lot more than 1 spot. That 20 machine was under attack. Not that Chad Coleman can just say, okay, I'll just let one guy by. He had a pack coming up and pouncing on him, but a very small mistake, just a little bit of speed loss, costs him 4 spots.
Yeah, I think, DeBarro's case, he had one car to let by. He's going to have a few more to deal with in a few laps because those cars behind him, Tim Matthews in the 54 is coming. But the 9 Anthony DeBarro, like you said earlier, he was experiencing that loose condition coming off 4, exactly what you saw the 20 of Chad Coleman have. Anthony, I think he kind of realized that. He's like, oh, this thing's starting to ill handle. I'm just going to let him by, regroup, relearn to drive the car. But these guys, the 89 and the 9, they both race so hard, it's allowing the 2 cars, the 3rd and 4th place cars, to catch him.
And the problems for Ken Baum Jr. spinning in turn number 4. There's the caution at lap 24. Problems for the Toyota Care Tundra in turns 3 and 4. Just talked about the fact that it was the 10 machine just behind him that had the little bit of rather the 20 of Chad Coleman, but Bobble lost a couple of spots, and then it was the 34 who had just passed Chad Coleman. Got a little bit sideways in the middle of turn number 3. Again, the truck just started to push up the hill, Gabe. It wouldn't stick like it would earlier in the run. The tires starting to go away. The line starting to move up a little bit with the rubber being put down on track, and the 34 started to push up and up and up. And eventually he had to give it a little bit more wheel, and because these cars are always on the such ragged edge, broke around on him. Good news is he locked it down. He didn't get into anything. He didn't get into anybody, so it is going to be a single truck spin caution flag, but it does slow us down for the first time tonight through 25.
Yeah, it almost looks like he entered that corner kind of awkward, the 34 Ken Baum Jr. He kind of entered it already loose. So from the exit to turn 3 all the way to where he spun out, it was just kind of a low, lazy spin till he got to the grass and it spun him back around up the track.
So with that, we get up behind the American Childhood Cancer Organization Ford Mustang GT pace car, and that means pit road for your leader is going to be open this time by. Also want to note that for Chad Cole in 23rd, he is now going to be back with the pack looking to move forward as your championship leader, because the way we run now, with Chad Cole back there and Ross Cato in 14th position, you're looking at the moment, about a 1 or 2 gap to the advantage of Chad Cole in the championship in what would be the live points position battle through 26 laps here at Michigan. So the pace car going to stay high, run around the racetrack. Pit road, though, green lights are on. It's open, and we're let down pit side. Daniel E. Eberhardt, first driver in. DeBarro, Matthews, Him Street, everybody I would expect on the lead lap going to be coming down this time, and for what I would assume being 4 tires and fuel.
Yeah, Evan, one thing I want to talk about while we're sitting here coming onto pit road, I should see everybody take 4 tires. It's not really worth it at this high speed of a racetrack, especially on the first couple laps. But this is going to allow that 8 of Chad Cole, our points leader coming in tonight. He started from the pits with no practice. 21 missed his box, apparently 21 of Matt LaCrosse. But, going back to the 8 truck of Chad Cole, that's his saving grace, really, because he had about 20 or 30 laps of practice during the race, basically. So expect Chad Cole to work his way up.
Bobby Wetzel going to be the first driver off of pit road. The Mellow Yellow Chevrolet attempted to get into his stall, made that turn in a little bit late, so he will come back by the next time. Going to hurt him because he'll go all the way to the back of the live standings, and with no major surprise, Daniel E. Eberhardt, first driver in on pit road, and he actually overshot his box a little bit, but he still got 4 tires, fuel, and was the first truck off. He'll retain the race lead at lap number 27 at Michigan. Pit road get open this time by for lap down machines. TJ Kelly going to be waved by. He'll rejoin the lead lap in 24th. Keith Brooks Jr. remains the only driver off the lead lap right now. The number 88 machine sitting back just a little bit in the number 88 Chevrolet. He will come pit side this time, which means that he won't be able to get back to the lead lap, at least at this moment. So Eberhardt out in front, provisionally off the pit lane. It was scored as Anthony DeBarro's number 9 machine in a relatively good position. However, while he was on pit road, sat in there for quite some extended time, and I didn't really see a lot of damage on that truck, Gabe. That may be an issue outside of the sim itself, but he is well way back and well outside of the top 10 where he was running.
Yeah, I was wondering what you guys were talking about, him winning the race off pit road, because I was sitting, I looked, and DeBarro never left his pit stall, never missed it. They just dropped the jack, and he never left, and it's very peculiar because he's just running around the racetrack around the 80 and 100 miles an hour about a limit right there. I don't know what's going on with that 9 of Anthony DeBarro.
We'll keep an eye to see if we get any more information from the Boontown Sim Camp and trying to figure out what's going on with that machine. But at least right now, what we can tell you is he's no longer up at the front of the field. In fact, he is being scored 23rd of 24 drivers on the lead lap. It looks like TJ Kelly going to give him a spot, Ken Baum Jr., Bobby Wetzel. So he'll end up about 19th or so when the lights go off this time by and we get set to go back green flag racing. But with that being said, it is very much so an uphill battle from here on out. And we talked about how came into his stall, service looked good, and stayed in the stall. And it looked like he had to sit down there, Gabe, for what we're hearing was a speeding penalty.
Yeah, I went down to the Boomtown pit box. I queued him up on the radio, and it seems like Anthony DeBarro sped on the entrance to pit road, so he just sat there and served his penalty. So, we're over a fourth of the way through this race. He's got time to work his way up. He's got a very fast truck, but very big mistake, especially for somebody racing for the championship.
There's no question that he's going to be making some headway through the pack. I think the question then becomes how quickly can you start getting through the pack and how quickly can you get up through the field, because I wouldn't expect, if we're being realistic, for a guy like that 9 Machine DeBarro to have much problem running back in about 22nd or 21st position. Once you get to the top 10, though, once you get to the top 5, the guy is going to be a lot faster. By the time you get to them to begin with, you're already going to be so many seconds off at a race leader because you're starting so far back that he's going to need at least one, if not two more caution flags play into his favor and work a little bit of strategy to try to account for that mistake.
Yeah, for Anthony to make up his time on the racetrack, he's going to have to play this really smart, work his way up until he kind of has to fight for his position, and then just kind of, let the positions come when they may and wait for a pit stop or wait for another caution, because if he runs up there just balls to the wall coming up through the pack, he's going to destroy his tires. And here at Michigan, that is, basically the number one thing you have to look out for other than the other drivers of the tires. So Anthony's going to have to really play this smart.
The lights are off on top of the pace car. Going to be our first American Ethanol restart on the evening as the pace car going to get down to the safety pit side. In turn 4, will leave the field in the hands of Daniel E. Eberhardt. Race leader at the top of the caution would lead us through the American Ethanol go zone for the first time tonight into the restart box, waiting on the green flag, and green flag flies back in the air, and we're back underway at MIS. Dwayne Vincent, the number 11 AW Root Beer Chevrolet, in second spot. He separates Himstreet and Bergeron from getting to our leader, so as Eberhardt takes off for the number 1 spot, the battle is behind him for second. All the momentum in the center of 1 and 2 in favor of Corbin Himstreet. Can he get cleared down the back? Yes, sir. Boomtown Sim to P2.
Yep, clear goes the 41 Corbin Himstreet, that Chevrolet. Yep, Boomtown boys 1 and 2, but Dwayne Vincent, he's trying to break up that party. Ducks down to the inside, but does not have the run. The one truck of Alex Bergeron working his way back up. 41 Corbin Himstreet into the wall coming off turn 4. Everybody avoids him. So Corbin, he finally got into that second position right behind Daniel E. Eberhardt. And he just kind of messes up. Excuse me, I called it the Boomtown 1-2. I was sitting here thinking that Daniel Eberhardt and Anthony DeBarro was still out front. So we got a caution.
Oh, and it's big problems in turn number 4, the 17. Bobby Wetzel involved in this one. Just caught that one out of the corner of my eye because it was the brightest truck on track, but it starts well in front of him, and it looks like this one may originate around the number 40 machine. It looks like the GoDaddy Chevrolet of Scott Bolster. In turn number 1, 3-1 scenario with Bolster on the outside, Lessentine in the middle, Lacrosse on the bottom, and it looked like on the outside of the racetrack, Danica just thought she was clear. Came down a little bit, Stephanie in the middle, nowhere for the 77 to go. And around goes that 40 of Scott Bolster, just misjudged the clearance, tried to get down into that preferred groove, thought he had the gap, or they didn't even know they were 3-1. Again, both are possibilities. The problem is that it happens in front of a large pack of trucks, and that's at least 5 good race cars that are torn up.
Yeah, no matter what happened, it's going to end up with a couple torn up race cars and a blown motor, at least, or a oil leak or something for that 17 of Bobby Wetzel. So he's riding around the racetrack waiting for pit road to open so we can duck in. And It's a good thing we're not throwing down oil or anything, because these guys would be spinning all over the racetrack.
And we will see, with the most recent caution flag just drawing to a close, how important are tires? Do you come back down pit road this time? And if you do you need 4? Does this open up the window of opportunity for somebody to stay out, for somebody to take 2, take 4? Leaders not electing to come down pit side. First driver in from 3rd is Mike Kelly, and it's about a 50-50 split inside of the entire top 20 running order, but it looks like just Mike Kelly and just Alex Bergeron, the drivers that come in from a top 10 spot. So with that, at the second caution flag, Daniel E. Eberhardt going to maintain control here at the Michigan International Speedway as we work under our second safety clean caution flag tonight. We'll take this opportunity, step away, and take a caution flag of our own. You're watching Real Sim Racing on LSRTV, the voice of sim racing.
It's been a very long offseason. Teams have changed, sponsors have changed, colors and all, but one thing that hasn't, they like to mash the loud pedal. Green flag is out on the 2015 NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series season.
iRacing is the ideal platform for these broadcasts because we have the best racers, the best online racers in the world, and we have such a variety of racing, from NASCAR to Grand Prix style racing, sports car, endurance racing. We do it all.
Since 2010, the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series has been the absolute pinnacle of road racing in a simulated form. Great start then by Yakoda from the front. They're packing up behind number 1. They're going to be 4 wide as they come down into turn number 1 for the first time. Will they make it through that first corner? You can see them funneling through the center S's. It looks as though everyone is just about made it through. We have got ourselves some contact though, Rachel.
Side by side going into turns 3 and 4. Humpy's got the advantage, but Ottinger's not going to.
Oh, he got into him!
Ottinger gets into the 58, turns right into him, and that ends Ottinger's run.
We do a lot of live broadcasts now. Every Tuesday is NASCAR night, so on alternating Tuesdays we do the Peak Antifreeze Series, and on the other Tuesdays the B-Class Series, which is the Xfinity cars, and sometimes we'll even do some short track racing depending on the schedule. Every other Saturday we do the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series, so the best road racers we have. And we also broadcast some special events, including the Endurance Championship, which is part of the Road Warriors Series. So we broadcast the Daytona 24, the Sebring 12-hour, we'll do the Watkins Glen 6-hour, several other races along there. And then, of course, the iRacing Pro Racing Champions, which is usually our biggest and most watched event of the year.
That is short track racing, and that's how awesome this sim is, Joe. That's something you see on TV on highlight reels, and we just saw it here, live.
We invite iRacers who are real-world racers, and they compete every December. Guys like Alex Gurney, Justin Wilson, Scott Speed, Ron Capps, the list goes on. Really some big-name drivers from all major forms of motorsport. It's really neat to see them get together and race together.
See Laughlin up top, down to the ball, gets turned! Laughlin gets turned! Caution is out foul at the front of the field!
The easiest place to find the broadcast is on our website, iRacing.com/live. So you can find some of our races on fanschoice.tv as well. A nice place to find iRacing broadcasts. You can also find it at mrn.com and peakauto.com.
We're back live at the virtual Michigan International Speedway in the Irish Hills of Brooklyn, Michigan, at the virtual Michigan International Speedway. Tonight is round 7 on the 2016 Real Series and Outlaw Truck Series Championship. With the postpone of Atlanta earlier in the year, we still have Charlotte, Las Vegas, and Atlanta to come for the next 3 rounds. So we close in now on the end of this championship battle. But tonight, in the battle for the W here this evening, it has been Daniel Eberhard really since the drop of the green flag. He took over from pole sitter Anthony DeBarro with a speeding penalty, is back in 16th spot. And for the second time in a row, the 89 in control. Green flag flies, second American Ethanol restart on the night. And once again, your leader says adios. The battle is for second behind. Inside, Tim Matthews. Outside, Dwayne Vincent. And as always, that Ford with a Corbin Hemstreet putting up a fight on the bottom, which without a surprise, the place to be, with the 54 and the 41 using it to get around Vincent.
Corbin Hemstreet gets clear on the 11 of Vincent. He's going to move into the 3rd position right in front of him. That 54 of Tim Matthews, he moves into 2nd. Tim, he was able to save his tires there on that first run when we saw Anthony DeBarro and Eberhard racing side by side for most of that run. He was closing in on him before we had that caution, so we would at least seen the 54 take over the 2nd position. Maybe not even the 1st position, but the 54's got some speed. You just kind of have to wait for it to come in.
Yeah, some guys very good on the short run, other guys very good on the long run. So far, we've seen a little bit of both. The long green flag stretch early, a little bit of short stint since then, trying to get this one stretched back out. Going to be halfway home and take the cross flags. At about 3 laps from now, we close in on lap 40 of 80 tonight in this Michigan 160. And a lot going on back in the pack, and I'm taking a look to try to catch the number on that one. I believe it was a close call with Stafford Marinak. It looks like, rather, those guys have gotten everything sorted out, but there was some contact on the back, and it was actually the 13 of Travis Burke who got into the outside wall. So Burks is going to be okay. Roughed up the passenger side of that race truck, but still on track. However, he will lose a couple of spots, falling back down to 17th.
Evan, I'd like to go back up front. This pack is kind of staying together. On the initial start we had, we saw Anthony take off, and he was able to pull out, and everybody kind of lost the graph with each other, and the top 5 kind of spread out. We're seeing the top 10 in this little pack, so we should see some good pack racing like we saw toward the back. So, that 54, he's losing about a car length every lap, but, once the tires wear off, we should see that 54 work his way back up front.
And you speak of that 54, well, Tim Matthews has kind of been an underdog or a sleeper so far here tonight because he's had a fast truck, 4th in practice, 4th in qualifying starts, but with that University of Kentucky Wildcat Chevrolet, he hasn't made a lot of noise. I mentioned when that 41 Corbin Hemstreet went to the inside on the restart, I said, and again, that 41 goes to the bottom, because we've seen Hemstreet make that move now 2 restarts in a row. We've seen Eberhard out in front. We've seen Dwayne Vincent charge the field. And by the way, nobody talking about him, but the 87 adjusted Michael 24th to 5th right now in that number 87 Chevrolet. He's done a good job. So those are all major storylines for Matthews, going under the radar as we work around some lap traffic and bypass on the outside of the racetrack. It looks like it is going to be the number 04 of Ronnie Perry losing a 4th lap to your race leaders. With all that being said, sometimes it's not a bad idea to fly under the radar, to go unnoticed. Tim Matthews hasn't made a lot of noise, but he's got a truck that looks like it just came off the trailer, and he's running in P2, so far so good for him in the opening 40. Matt Lacrosse has got a lot of excitement around Tim. Not the first time either we've mentioned his name in a big battle. He is P9. He's front row to Chad Cole, Brian Harvey, side by side for 7 and 8 on track. Inside going to be Cole. You would expect that to be the place to be. And he'll get clear at least into the corner. The one going to drive it back on the door. What a move by the Nesquik Chevy, Alex Bergeron. I had him counted for the count, and well, he goes back on the outside of the racetrack, takes the spot right back from Chad Cole. Not an easy thing to do.
Absolutely power move there from the one of Bergeron. Chad Cole, a champion in the RSR series, just great move on him. Looking back to the 8 of Bergeron on Chad Cole. Chad, he was running the last car on the lead lap. Everybody else was 1 lap down, back to the 24th position. He was 25 seconds behind the leaders. That caution hits really saved him because he's up inside the top 10, saving all those points. You know, we were talking about, do you win or do you points race? Chad looks like he's playing a smart move because he's gradually working his way back up front. Talking about working his way back up front, Anthony DeBarro, the 9, he has not been able to make his way into the top 10 yet, running in the 14th position there, racing with the 23 and the 24 of the Kelly brothers, I guess, TJ and Mike. He's racing all around those guys. Anthony, it seems like we heard he got a little bit of damage there from that caution, so that may be hampering him just a little bit.
Yeah, and he's still, I mean, he's got a good truck, but it's already, again, 5.9 seconds off. You mentioned you can pass those guys, sure, but it takes a little bit more time to pass them. The higher up you get in the running order, it takes longer, and therefore, because you're that far back to begin with, you lose so much time. You can have a truck that's 2/10 faster than Daniel Eberhardt. You're not going to win the race, though, even if we go green the whole way, if you start in 30th spot, because you're just so far behind by the time you can get wound up that there's nothing you can do about it, which is why track position, caution flags, and all of those factors, which are really difficult to control at times. Obviously, you can always help yourself out by not making a self-inflicted error, which is something that he has done tonight, but there's all those little things that dictate who actually walks away with the checkered flag in these races. Let's take a look a little bit further back to the RSR Toyota. Chad Coleman, front row seat as well for him. To the 90 on the outside, Ross Cato, Mark Bratcher's number 46 on the inside. I'm surprised to see Cato back here outside the top 15. Enters tonight second in the championship, but his rival in that championship fight, Chad Cole, started from pit road, Gabe. This was all in favor of that 90 early, but because he is not going anywhere forwards and Chad Cole is, it's slipping away from him.
Yeah, with about 5 minutes to go before we gridded, Ross Cato, he was looking to take the championship lead by almost 20 points. Now he's just racing for positions because every point counts. Chad Cole up inside the top 10. Ross Cato in the around the 20th position, running 19th and 20th, you know, around there. He kind of half spun it there earlier in the first run. He kind of got a little loose. We were talking about able to save it, working his way back up front, but he's basically kind of just stalled out there in the 19th position.
So we'll keep an eye on him and try to find out why your second place runner in the championship not having a good night tonight. All things considered, kind of an opposite night for what we normally see at Ross Cato here on Wednesday nights. He started 13th. He's running 19th now. 19th is not a very good spot for him, but that's about where he qualifies. He has an average starting spot of 17, but an average finishing position of 8th. So on average, you're looking at a guy that makes up 9 spots per race, and it's normally his race trim, which is much better than the qualifying trim. Tonight, though, not the case for him. He continues to struggle a little bit back in the pack. 5 laps past the halfway point in Brooklyn, Michigan. It has things, I think, for a moment kind of calmed down inside of the top 10. Let's take a look at our iRacing.com Midway Race Report, presented to you by iRacing.com, the leader in motorsport simulations and the official sim racing partner of NASCAR. It is Daniel Eberhardt in front by 0.4 of a second to Tim Matthews, number 54. Corbin Hemstreet running in third. Justin Michael fourth from 24th on the grid. And rounding out your top 5 is Dwayne Vincent. Alex Bergeron started 21st. He's up to 6th, just in front of 7th place runner Ken Baum Jr. Chad Cole, another steady improvement throughout the evening. He started from the pit lane in 22nd. He's at 8th spot, just in front of P9 to Matt Lacrosse, and last driver inside the top 10, the 66er Brian Harvey.
Right behind Harvey's the 68 of Scott Simley. He's the first car outside the top 10 in 11th. Stephen Marinac in the 96 in 12th. TJ Kelly, Anthony DeBar, our old leader, our pole sitter, he is in 14th position, not able to move up. CJ LeVere is in the 15th position. Mike Kelly, Mark Bratcher, your outside pole sitter, back there in the pack as well. Chad Coleman and Ross Cato, both talking about those guys earlier. And following out in the 20th position is Keith Brooks Jr.
And in 21st tonight at the moment is running back 9 seconds off your leader. That's Scott Bolster, 22nd. And last driver on the lead lap, Travis Burke, Rodney Perry, 4 laps down in 23rd. And both Stephanie Lessentine and Bobby Wetzel are out of this race in 24th and 25th. 25 of the 27 drivers in the sim earlier on this afternoon became to make a start. So this has been your iRacing.com Midway's report for look at more information on the wide variety of racing possibilities on the web. Go to iRacing.com, sign up, and become a member today. Daniel E. Eberhard. I know we keep saying that name, but we rightfully do so because he is starting to put it to these guys. 5/10 in front of Matthews, so he's pulling away from the 54. I'm not convinced, though, that he's faster than Corbin Hemstreet, the 41 machine. Last couple times by just a little bit, but a little bit nonetheless faster than your leader, the 41, trying to make it a conversation for a battle for second.
Justin Michael, the 87, he was running in the 4th position. Kind of got loose there coming off turn 4, and the 11 was able to take advantage of that loss of momentum. So moved Vincent into the 4th position, but that 87, he's using that draft, trying to come back at it, just not enough time. So moved Justin Michael down in the 5th position, moved Dwayne Vincent, your Full Throttle Cup Series champion, into 4th, and he's going to try and track down the rest of these guys. Tim Matthews cut it down, not by much, but he's back inside half a second. So here comes that 54. He cuts it again by 7 one-thousandths of a second. So very, very small gains, but those are going to add up later.
It's all about making that progress, chipping away at it, and as well, even if you're not directly battling with somebody, let's talk about a guy like Dwayne Vincent right now. You're on the defensive right now, not the offensive. So you're trying to obviously stay in front of Justin Michael behind you, but if you're 8/10 of a second behind the guy in front of you, although you're not fighting with him, what you can do is keep up the speed, pick away a tenth and a tenth, and then if he makes a mistake, being 6/10 off is a lot better than being 8/10 off. So it's all about those small gains. These seasoned veterans, by the way, they know how that game works. They know how to play it. They know how to conserve themselves. 80 laps at Michigan. Well, it's a decent length tonight, and this evening's Michigan 160. It's not that long for these guys. So they're keeping up on the wheel. They're staying up inside of the action. They're not getting tired anytime soon because we're inside the final 30 laps at Michigan. Just like that, you pass the halfway point, and as I always love to say, we're no longer counting up, we're counting down, getting into the closing stages.
Oh yeah, Evan, closing stages, and it's coming at just the right time because Tim Matthews in the 54, he's cut it down again, coming by the line. Let's see where that gap is at now. It's visibly closer now. You know, he's been reeling him in the past few laps. 0.3 of a second flat. So he is coming, you know, just a little bit less than a tenth a lap, but he's working that lead back in. The 89 at Eberhard, he's going to have to look in that rearview mirror. He's seeing that 54 coming on his way up front. So we're going to have a battle for the lead here in the next couple laps. And, you know, Corbin Hemstreet, he's also catching that 89 at Eberhard. So we're going to have a 3-wide battle for the lead here if the momentum keeps up.
At Matthews right now in second. Again, I talked about how Eberhard was pulling away for the 54. Well, exactly right, that 54 reeling him back in. It could be these three guys find each other all at the same time. We'll have to see. The question now becomes when everybody had pitted not all that long ago. Again, we had a caution flag green for about 2 laps. Yellow came back out. Not a lot of people inside the top 10 pitted. Not quite sure what the fuel number is on these guys either. You're looking at try to stretch it 40 laps on the limited fuel cell. Fuel well and still in the conversation tonight because I don't think we're done with service.
No, I don't know the fuel rule here in the RSR full, or not the Full Throttle Cup, the Truck Series. But you know, even with a full tank of fuel, I don't think we can make it that far. You know, just in front of halfway. You know, these guys didn't choose to pit. So we should see either green flag pit stops or these guys start saving fuel. But with the way Tim Matthews is driving, he is not saving a lick of fuel. Eberhardt's pulling that lead just a little bit, but you know the 54 is catching him down the straightaways. It's just in the corners Daniel Eberhardt's able to pull out. He's got such a good car.
There's always a lot of leeway at this kind of a track. You go to a cookie cutter track, sometimes there's not a whole lot that you can play with. You have to let off at a certain point, you got to pick up at a certain point. Well, Michigan is still very line sensitive. It's more so of a driver's track. They could get a little bit flexible with when they want to get on the brakes and back onto the throttle. And it's part of that searching around for grip that is going to lead to the win. You're not going to win this race from doing exactly what you did inside of the opening 15 laps, inside of the final 15. That's not going to cut it. You're going to need to constantly adjust. Sometimes, remember we were talking about these guys were down below that first seam at the start. Although it's not a lot up the hill, you can see visibly where that rubber is being put down on track because you'll see the darkened color of the asphalt, especially when we're on one of the water angle cameras. That's where the line is going. The more rubber, the higher up you have to go. And you take a look from the blimp right now, you can see that they've noticeably moved up a little bit, and that's exactly where that darker area on the racetrack is. So adjusting your line and adapt to the big thing. Big battle going on now for the race lead, though. Tim Matthews, big run in turn 4. Everhart slow, will go 3 wide and split the difference on Rodney Perry top side, and Matthews to the lead at 57.
That was almost too slow for a battle for the lead. I think Everhart's in fuel-saving mode if he can make it. He's got a calculator sitting right there next to him. Can he make it? I think that's what he's doing right now, because that was too easy a move for the 54 Tim Matthews.
Going to be shortly at 20 laps to go at the Michigan International Speedway. Daniel Everhart gives it up. It's going to be a new race leader at lap 57. Tim Matthews from 4th on the grid, going to lead us across the start-finish line, and here is the final round of pit stops, just as we had predicted. Daniel E. Everhart, though, just started to realize Gaby was losing the speed. He'll kick off the pit cycle, which means basically these guys have to get in now.
Yep, I'm contradicting my statement. I have to pull a complete 180. I thought he was saving fuel. No, he is getting ready to pull in. He just didn't want anybody behind him when he came in. He has to back up into his pit stall, so he missed it just by a little bit. That's going to cost him coming back on track. Under caution, that's not going to cost him much, but green flag. If Tim Matthews can pull off a good pit stop as he's coming in now, 54 Tim Matthews comes down to the attention of his crew. If he could pull off a flawless pit stop, he's going to have a huge lead.
So Everhart back out on track. Dwayne Vincent for the moment going to go to the race lead, but let's take a look at pit road. The 54 of Tim Matthews, because, well, this cycle of pit stops is not going to be negotiated in just 5 laps. There'll be a couple of guys that stay out for much longer. They'll lead for a little bit. The good way to judge and kind of gauge who got a good cycle and who didn't is where this 54 ends up in relation to the 89. Right side tires going up, no surprise. The virtual crew can work over to the left side of that truck as well. They'll take on 4 tires, gas and go. Good to the end with a 14.9 on the pit cycle for Tim Matthews. He will get back out, and now he gets onto the apron. Let's see what kind of time he can get getting back up to speed again. He can't go above that yellow line until we get onto the back straightaway. You see the 87 machine go by. That's Justin Michael. He wants to get in front of Everhart. There goes the 89. The short pit works. That 89, a big gap in turn 2.
Such a big difference in lap times. That one lap, not even a lap of green flag running on those new tires of Daniel Everhart, he was able to overtake him and take the lead back from the 54 of Tim Matthews. So imagine how big of a lead that 89 would have if it wasn't for that mistake on the pit stop. So that 54, he's going to have to charge for the rest of these 20 laps. Now, as we got 20 laps to go, he's going to have to charge to catch that 89.
And now he has to go from translating that, I guess, I mean, it works out in his favor, if anything, because we know that, at least based on what we saw the last time, Daniel Everhart a little bit faster on the short run. Well, he's in front for the short time being right now, and I'm looking at a gap of about a second. Chad Cole, by the way, to mention that number 8 machine, just interjected himself in between them. He has gotten service done, so Chad Cole, all of a sudden, you want to talk about a veteran move. Good cycle of pit stops, and Chad Cole puts himself at 14th between Everhart and Matthews. When this cycles out, that'll put him about 2nd.
Oh yeah, Chad Cole. He is basically crushing the dreams of everybody that had a hope for this championship coming into the night. He had such, he did not practice, did not qualify, didn't run any laps in the session until we took the green flag, and he was sitting on pit road when everybody else took the green flag, filed up for the start. Great recovery from him to start from pit road, like I said, and Chad Cole, he's looking to dominate this championship.
And for somebody who, again, started from pit road, a move that we questioned, and then even if you look at this race with the only handful of yellows that we've seen, still not easy to make up all that ground without having a lot of help. What that tells me is, well, he had a fast truck. And when you don't do any practice, as you mentioned, and you don't do any qualifying, and you come out with this kind of speed, I think you've done a lap or two at Michigan. Battle is on, though, for what is right now 14th, soon to be 2nd, and Tim Matthews going to take that spot right back from Chad Cole. So give the number 54 one more spot to the positive. And now it's just him trying to catch up to Daniel Eberhardt. Nobody in between them. And that gap still sits up to that 89 machine at about a second.
Yep, nobody in between them, but one car in front of him, that 87, Justin Michael, I believe. He's right in front of him in the 12th position, so he has every right to hold off that 89 of Eberhardt. He's just as fast as him right now, so Eberhardt's being held up as he ducks to the inside. He's going to go for the move into turns 3 and 4, but that's allowing the 54 and the 8 to catch him both. So going into turn 3, Chad dives it down, Eberhardt dives it down, going around Justin Michael, but Michael, he's hanging tough there on the outside, going to use that momentum, tries to get clear. Not clear as they're going to be side by side coming down the straightaway. Who's going to win the drag race?
The 87 digging on the outside, not the spot to be once you get down into the corner unless he can pinch Eberhardt down, but it looked like the 89 machine has a nose advantage, and he'll get clear, slide up and shut the door. Watch out though, lap traffic in the 04 machine diving to the bottom. What a move by Eberhardt and Michael to get on by after they caught up to and got there quickly on a slow Rodney Perry. That could have been really bad.
Oh, that has got to be the closest shave I've ever seen. Eberhardt made a last-second
Didn't lift,
movie.
by the way.
He never lifted coming off the corner. Was able to keep his momentum up, and that's going to allow the 54 and the 8 of Chad Cole both to catch them both. But he's still in this race. With most drivers, they would have panicked and just kind of rammed in the back of Perry down the straightaway. Eberhardt keeps his cool, ducks it down to the bottom of the racetrack, almost gets into him. But almost is all he needed because he was able to get clear.
And did he want to cut it that close? No, but he had no choice because he had, right behind him, on the bumper was just the Michaels, number 87. So you lift, you get turned. So he had to stay in the gas. I'm interested in Dwayne Vincent's strategy. The number 11 machine, one of the drivers that I believe came down pit road the last time we had a caution flag after most of our guys elected to stay out, seeing as we were just 3 laps removed from a pit stop. That gives him about 3 to 4, maybe 5 additional laps of fuel, depending on how much saving he was doing on the caution flag there compared to those guys that were restarting inside the top 10, inside the top 15. Staying out this long, almost to 13 laps to go the next time by, Gabe, is going to kill you. If Vincent has to pit, not happening, because he's given away so much time every single lap. You see on the inside of the track, the 40 machine, Scott Bolster. And GoDaddy Chevy has not had a good night. He's been in an accident. He's 1 lap down, albeit now back on the lead lap. So those guys back there that you've well had their number tonight are passing you. So you know how much new tires mean. Dwayne Pitts, this race is done. So the only thing that I could imagine here is that he's trying to stretch it.
Yeah, if that 11 of Dwayne Vincent comes to pit road, it is going to be sitting and sputtering for fuel because he will have run it dry. The only way he has got to stay out, he's going to win this race if he has enough fuel. Question is, does he have it? I just don't see it. There was a 4 or 5 lap gap during that caution, but all these guys were trying to save to get as long as they could, so I don't see it. Even if he stays out and he's able to save enough fuel, he's losing 2 seconds a lap to Eberhardt. So, we could have a battle for the lead and just new tires versus old tires if he doesn't come to pit road.
Yeah, if Vincent can make it, he is still not in the clear either. Like you said, he's losing substantial time. This time by will give you a lap time. It is a 43.0 for Dwayne Vincent. Meanwhile, for the likes of Eberhardt and company that have gotten tires, they're running 40.8. So that's just about 2 seconds and change per lap. Well, when you got 19 seconds to the good, you're looking at about 10 laps to hold on to that time, assuming that interval stays the same. Well, next time by, 11 laps to go at Michigan. So the way it looks, if Vincent can get there, if Kelly, if DeBarro, if all of these guys at the front of the field that are electing to play the fuel game can get to the end of this race, it is still not guaranteed. That's only half the battle, which sucks because it's not even like we're inside of the final 3 laps, Gabe, and Dwayne Vincent can, give up 5 seconds a lap and just really milk the fuel to get to the end. He can't save anything anymore. He's got to dig because I mean, if you come down pit road, stay on the regular cycle with everybody else and get a P5 is a lot better than staying out there, taking it easy, finishing worse than 5th. So for a guy like a Dwayne Vincent, a guy that is not in the championship battle for this Truck Series championship into tonight for round 7 to 10, he is here to win or finish in dead last. It doesn't matter. He wants the W, so he's got to dig. He's got to go for it. He's played his card, though. We see the strategy that he's elected to take. But even the guys behind him, Mike Kelly, Anthony DeBarro, even drivers on the same strategy as him are starting to catch up.
Yeah, you bring up the guys behind him. Mike Kelly in the 24, he's brought it down to 1.2 seconds. I think Dwayne's trying to save just a little bit of fuel when he can, but it's not like he's got a 30-second lead on Eberhardt. He has got a 1.2 second lead on the guy behind him, and there's about 8 cars on the same fuel strategy. He is going to get overtaken if he tries to save fuel. All these guys can save fuel at the same time. That's just going to make Eberhardt's job a lot easier. I'm so confused right now how he's making it this far. I don't know how he's made it this far so far, but 10 more laps. If he can make it, I'm going to be just astonished.
We will see if he's got enough juice left in the tank to make it now inside of the final 10 laps at the Michigan International Speedway. For those just tuning in, welcome. We're in the closing laps of the Michigan 160 Round 7 on the 2016 RSR Outlaw Truck Series Championship. Evan Pasoko and Gabriel Wood with you topside in the LSRTV booth, and we're at lap 72 of 80. Dwayne Vincent has not pitted on this last green flag cycle because he's trying to make it to the end of this race on the tank that he's got. Mike Kelly, Anthony DeBarro, Stefan Marinak, Mark Bratcher, Scott Simley, Ross Cato, I believe are all on that same strategy. 8 on back, pitted. Or you'll find Eberhardt 12 seconds off, Matthews 13 off, as well as Chad Colin 13 seconds back at the interval. These guys outside the top 8 right now that are trying to dig on 4 tires, they're not going to get there. So it's a battle amongst the guys on the limited fuel strategy run. Here comes Mike Kelly, the Exalta Chevrolet, powering up in turn number 2, and to the inside of the racetrack he goes. Mark it on lap number 73. New race leader, Mike Kelly.
Oh yeah, moved the 24 into the lead, and they did a very smart move. They didn't try racing each other. And 11th, Dwayne Vincent, he lost the lead. He's coming to pit road, so the dream is over for the 11 of Dwayne Vincent. He comes to pit road. How far will Mike Kelly take it? He immediately gave up on it. So how much fuel does the 24 have? If I was Dwayne Vincent, I'd stay out there in second if I had enough fuel. But no, he immediately pits. So they have got to be coughing for just fuel vapors at this point.
Yeah, how far can they make it? Dwayne Vincent down pit road. The number 11 machine lost the lead. He said, that's it, I don't have enough. He comes in, he gets that truck fueled back up. That's it. It was all or nothing. He gets nothing.
Oh yeah, he gambled and he's going home empty-handed tonight. And he knows how to save fuel. He's a champion in the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series, as we said before. He knows how to get the fuel mileage done. So if he couldn't make it, how many of these guys that don't have the experience, how long can they actually make it? Hats off to Mike Kelly, because he is out there just trying it. Just trying his hardest. He gets a little loose there coming off turn 2. He's got a 4-second gap, so he's got a little bit of leeway if we get within 2 laps to go to save just a little bit if he can.
You're absolutely right. It's nothing against the other guys out there, but if your Full Throttle Cup Series champion can't make that gas last to the end of the race, what's the possibility of some of these other guys being able to do it? It wouldn't be the first time we've seen a fuel run or a fuel strategy call give us a surprise winner in this RSR Outlaw Truck Series Championship this season alone. It is a common occurrence for these races to come down to strategy. We talked about intervals. Well, Daniel Lee Eberhardt, take a look at this 3 wide, the 89, the 9, the 90. Everybody trying to get around Scott Simley for P5. Those are the 3 drivers at Eberhardt, Cole, and Matthews that have 4 fresh tires. They're within 6 seconds, but I think they're going to be a little bit short on time to catch them.
Oh yeah, clean track, they would catch him no problem. But it's the fact that they're having to pass everybody and their mother coming up through the field. That's why they're kind of... Okay, I thought I saw the Mike Kelly slowing down the front straightaway. It looks like he's trying to save just a little bit of fuel, half throttling it coming out of the corner. And so is the 46 of Mark Bratcher. He moves into the second position followed by Stefan Marinak. Stefan Marinak back into second.
And a hornet's nest back around Scott Simley, that 68 machine. One of the drivers that elected to stay out. He doesn't have fresh tires. He's getting eaten alive. 54, 8 choose the top side. Ross Cato going to choose the bottom, the 90. Another one of the guys that is falling back very quickly. Stefan Marinak's number 96 machine, and Mark Bratcher's number 46 quickly going to be taken over by Daniel Eberhardt. So just like that, it is Eberhardt to second. Problem is, this time by 4 laps to go at the Michigan International Speedway, and the gap between Mike Kelly and company is going to be still 5 seconds flat, and actually picking up a 10th that time was Mike Kelly. I don't think Eberhardt's got enough left to catch him. The question is, though, does Mike Kelly literally have enough left to hang on?
Oh my gosh, Evan, I can't believe Mike Kelly's hanging on to this right now. It looks like he's running just about full speed, really, because he's about 5 miles an hour off, maybe just from saving coming out of the corners. We're coming to 2 laps to go here. We may have Mike Kelly winning it on fuel strategy. He wasn't in the top 10 the entire race. Here comes Eberhardt. He's coming off turn 4 right now. He is coming. He is coming with a full head of steam.
4, 3, and now 2 laps to go. Popsicle sticks in the air. That time by the start-finish line, the gap 4.4. He picked up another 0.6 of a second. The 24, he needs to make it on fuel, and he can't make a mistake. We talk about a surprise winner. Started 15th, a quiet night, and we were really focused on Dwayne Vincent as the one spearheading this fuel strategy cause. Well, some of his other counterparts that have made this strategy call have fallen to the side. He is still out in front. He's got 2 miles left to hang on. White flag in the air at Michigan. Mike Kelly trying to get the W.
Mike Kelly comes across the line. 1 lap to go here at Michigan. Evan, we're supposed to be impartial, but I'm rooting for Mike Kelly. He has done an excellent job. 3.5 second gap back to Eberhardt. Can he make it? He's still under power coming through turns 1 and 2. Evan, he might be able to make it.
165, 170 miles an hour. He is still at speed. Down the back stretch for the final time. He's working about a 3-second gap. Get the turn 4. You don't even have enough left for a burnout. Just get it across the start-finish line. Fuel strategy from 15th on the grid. Turn 4 for the final time. And for the 24 Exalta Chevrolet, Mike Kelly, winner at Michigan in front of Daniel Eberhardt, gets the job done and stoops the field with the fuel strategy call, and it'll put him in victory lane tonight and leave Daniel Eberhardt with a P2.
I cannot believe it, but I think he ran out of fuel coming across the line. It looks like he's still under power, though, so that may have just been him saving it for the burnouts. Evan, he saved almost, looks like, those guys pitted 20 laps before them, and he's able to hold them off. Hats off to Mike Kelly. What a great run for him.
And I don't know if he has any left to do a burnout, but if he does, I can promise you that he'll finish it off there, because Mike Kelly is your winner in RSR Outlaw Truck Series competition at Michigan. He'll coast it around to the front straightaway. If not, he'll coast it down to the virtual Gatorade victory lane. But you always love to see a race that includes exciting drama up at the front of the field, but as well a little bit of strategy. Well, strategy was the name of the ball game tonight, and he'll park it on the start-finish line. Mike Kelly, your big winner in the Irish Hills of Michigan at MIS this evening. Winner of round number 7 on this 15 and 2016 RSR Outlaw Truck Series Championship. And that's all the gas they had left. So we'll catch up with him in a moment, get some comments as well for the rest of your top finishers from Michigan as Kelly takes the W over top of Daniel Eberhardt and Chad Cole. Encourage you to stick around for the LSRTV post-race wrap-up when we return. But Michigan International Speedway. We'll be right back. You're watching coverage of the RSR Outlaw Truck Series on iRacing Live through LSRTV, the voice of sim racing. I want to welcome you back live to the virtual Michigan International Speedway for the LSRTV post-race show. 7 down and now 3 races to go at the RSR Outlaw Truck Series, the 2015-2016 winter installment just about done with. And as the championship picture continues to evolve, a good finish for one of your drivers in the championship here this evening. We talked a lot about him, and it was Chad Cole into tonight atop the championship standings. Interestingly enough, though, elected to start from the pit lane and ends up walking away on the podium at Michigan. Going to help him pad that points gap over Ross Cato, Chad Coleman, and company. Chad, caught up with you on the pit lane here with the P3 finish. First off, congratulations to you. Started on pit road, though, and you found yourself about 25 seconds back until the first caution flag, and then once you got back up there with those guys, you didn't waste much time. Walk us through all the strategy, though, involved in this race from your behalf.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't a choice starting from pit road. I wanted to be out there with the guys. I was just coming home from work. I had someone log me in at home, and I sat down. I figured I'd be two plus laps down, but you guys are still pacing, and I really lucked out there. So just kind of had to bide my time there, not do anything too stupid, and catch that first caution. Then I kind of felt I was in the game there.
We always say a little bit of luck and a lot of skill helps these guys get a couple of finishes here, and it looked like for you everything worked out to let you get onto the grid, and then we got out on track here. A lot of guys electing to top off on what happened to be the last caution flag of the night, and then either pitting at the end or not pitting at the end. But outside of the strategy, it was a very competitive race. We saw a lot of guys show a lot of good short run speed, and after about 20 laps, they kind of fell away. Where did you feel like that number 8 truck was really good at?
Yeah, definitely the long runs. I guess I don't let guys go. I mean, they're pretty much hauling the mail past me. I'm kind of at their mercy. I can't really do a whole lot about it. But, I tell them, all right, we'll see you in about 20 laps or so. And sure enough, we'll be able to reel them back in. I guess that's just the pace I'm able to maintain and do a good job taking it easy on the tires to begin with. And that's what kind of paid off. Made a good run at the end there at Daniel, but wasn't quite enough.
So it could have been a very bad night for you, and the points ends up being a relatively good one because you're going to grow a little bit onto the gap. It was 13 points into tonight, and, well, a couple of good finishes for guys back in the back, including Mike Kelly, who picks up the W here for the second time on the year. He'll close you in by 2, so you're only going to have 11 points out to second. You do grow, though, from 3rd, 4th, 5th on back, almost putting all of those guys at least almost a race, really, back. There's still 3 races to go. The way this schedule worked out, Atlanta got pushed back, so we're not looking at Charlotte and then Vegas as a finale. We're looking at Charlotte, Vegas, and then Atlanta. So with 3 races to go, there's still plenty that could happen, but those are 3 intermediate racetracks coming up.
Yeah, those intermediates really favor me. I especially like Atlanta and Vegas. Vegas in particular, I really like the line through 1 and 2, kind of rolling in the middle there, and it's going to be tight though. I mean, 3 races, a long ways to go, and competition is as good as it gets at RSR here. So I mean, just kind of take them as they come.
Well, I'll tell you what, these guys made you work for this finish here tonight, but you're in a good spot to be able to contend for an RSR championship once again. Chad, the sponsors, the shout-outs, all of the folks on the truck and the guys behind the scene, who you want to give a call to while we got you down here on pit road?
Yeah, of course. First of all, I got to give a shout-out to Laura Lawson. We're thinking about her, and everyone's thinking about her. Finally got to run that tribute scheme for her tonight, and got to get a good finish for her. We're all thinking about you, Laura. Teammates, Matt Lacrosse, Justin, Michael tonight. Jimmy's in the team speak with us. So is Joey, but they're just spectating. We need them out on the track with us.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'll pass on the message, as always, from Laura, that I know that she appreciates it very much, and it was a sharp-looking number 8 machine out there tonight, Chad. Also, a very fast one, and a good finish for you in that number 8 Chevy. Thanks for sticking around and chatting with us, sir. Congratulations again. A solid finish, but I know there is still work to be done, so we wish you the best of luck for these next 3 races, and hopefully, for your sake, we'll be talking to you next week.
10-4, thank you.
That is tonight's third place finisher and still championship leader through 7 races. Chad Cole in front. Daniel E. Eberhardt, one of the names that makes up a little bit of headway. Still 26 points out of the championship lead, albeit, but a P2 finish for the driver of the 89 tonight. And he was the highest running driver at the end game. That took fuel. We thought it was him on 4 tires. Mike Kelly outlasts him, but you're with our second place finisher, Daniel E. Eberhardt.
Yeah, down here on pit road with Daniel, you didn't get back to the lead, but it wasn't for a lack of trying, man. You know, the one car just did not pit Mike Kelly, and you cut that lead down from a 20-second gap down to 2 seconds. If you would have had a couple more laps, you would have been there. You got to be proud of your run, and you've been keeping yourself in this championship from not running one of the races.
Yeah, I don't think I'll have anything for Chad at the end of this championship. He just ends up somehow running right behind me week to week, and congratulations to Mike. I never even thought about fuel mileage. Never even seen the dude all race, and I was sitting there thinking, I think I had a shot at winning it if I didn't screw myself up. And I came down pit road and I seen Chad, and then I kind of overshot my pit stall, backed up, still beat Chad out, and coming out of 3 and 4, I had like 3 trucks. I think DeBarro, Simley, and all them. And I mean, right then I thought we were gonna go 4 wide because there wasn't no backing out of it then. Because I mean, I had to go because he was 12 seconds up at that point, and then somehow I drove up to like 3 seconds at the finish line. So it was a good race all in all.
With about 15 laps to go, we saw the Full Throttle Cup Series champion, Vincent, Dwayne Vincent in the 11 truck. He pitted, and, we were all thinking, if a Cup Series champion can't save enough fuel to make it to the finish, how can Mike Kelly? He's won a bunch of races here, but, how could he have done it? After the 11 pitted, you had to have been thinking, when's he going to run out? When's he going to run out? Oh, come on. When's he going to run out?
Yeah, I was sitting there just hopefully just counting down the laps and just hoping he would run out. But, that's part of the game. I hate racing like that. I don't like it. And but a win's a win, take them how you can get them. I mean, I was hoping to get a win tonight, and just the horseshoe didn't fall my way.
Yeah, you absolutely had the car, I saw DeBarro take off there on the initial start, but then you caught him up and you were able to work by him, and you never looked back until pit stops. How much quicker? Do you think you were a lot quicker than DeBarro? Because we saw you guys were basically equal when you were behind him.
It was about saving tires. This track, I don't know what it is about the trucks, man. You can go wide open for a couple laps, then you'll be burping the throttle, and then all of a sudden the rear end wants to come around, and it was about the guy who could hold on the longest, and the guy who was saving the tires. I think Chad Cole was saving the best amount of tires at the end of that, because I was squalling mine coming through the corners trying to catch the leaders.
Yeah, you were definitely working your butt off there. Like I said, you cut it down from a 20-second gap down to 2 seconds there at the end. Do you think you had a chance to catch him? I know you were just getting gobs and gobs of time, but how much longer do you think you would have needed to catch him?
I think I need to pit a lap earlier. If I could go back, I would pit a lap earlier. I seen Corbin pit, and I was like, well, and then I thought about pitting that next lap and just let Tim go on by, and then I pitted. So if I pitted that lap I thought I need to pit on, man, I would have probably been sitting there in victory lane. So.
All right, Daniel, before I let you go, who gets it done on that number 89 truck?
Take Two Motorsports. I got to thank Kenny Baum Jr. He's a big supporter, hard racer, and he's my teammate. And then I got to thank iPon Gaming for coming on. Go check them out at iPonGaming.com. They came on this season. At the end of the season, they're going to come on for the Full Throttle Cup Series. It starts in February, and I'm pretty excited about that. And my grandma in the other room.
We'd like to say hello to Grandma. She's there for every race, isn't she, Daniel?
Yeah, she's a big supporter.
All right, we'll give a shout out to LSRTV's biggest fan, Daniel. Congratulations on your second place finish. Coming up one short tonight, and I believe, Evan, you've caught up with the one man that beat you.
And we were talking about how he came out of nowhere, and we were talking about quite a few names tonight. And one of the names that we didn't mention all that much was Mike Kelly. We were talking earlier in the race about how Tim Matthews was the one flying under the radar, sitting comfortably inside the top 5. on the grid. He'll end in victory lane tonight at the Michigan International Speedway. Caught up in victory lane with Mike Callie, your winner of the Michigan 180. Mike, first off, congratulations. I think you stumped us and you stumped most of these guys because, first off, it was a gamble to make that strategy call to begin with to stay out. And then once we saw Dwayne Vincent run out of fuel, we're thinking, well, if our RSR Full Throttle Cup Series champion can't make it, I think it's safe to bet that these other guys are going to come down soon. And you stayed out, and eventually you hang on, and now you're a winner for round number 7. So what was the game plan and what was the decision behind making that call to go for that?
Whew, I don't even know where to start. I'm still shaking. I can hardly think straight. That was crazy. But, in practice, I ran a full fuel tank, and I did 44 laps, and I ran out. I basically coasted across the line for my 45th lap. So when I saw the timing of that yellow and I saw where we were going to be, and I realized it was going to be 45 to go when we went back to green, I ducked in and topped off there. And, guys probably weren't even looking for it because it was really a stretch to make it. But since I made it 44 in practice, I knew with a little effort I could probably make it to the end, and it worked out for me. I snuck up on all of you, I think, tonight.
And also going down to the end of that, not only was it trying to hang on fuel, but as well you had Eberhard, Cole, and company. They were closing in on you as well. So how much were you able to continue to save there at the end, knowing that those guys were coming, and the gap ends up being 2.8 seconds, which is still relatively comfortable, but for it being 20 seconds, I think 10 or 15 laps prior, they were definitely coming on those fresh tires. So how much of that was a factor in how hard you were going at the end? And it looked like you didn't have any fuel left for some burnouts. How much was really left in the tank at the end?
I was out. It died right as I pulled up there to the start-finish line. I had 1/10 of a gallon when I came across the line there. I was shaking in my shoes, I'll be honest with you, because it's a fast pack, and I've been in these situations before. I've been in that fast pack probably more often than not because I'm usually too scared to try strategies like this. But I knew they were coming, and I was trying to gauge how much they were gaining each lap versus, how many laps were left, obviously. And, of course, it's really hard to tell with the fuel, the way you can tell the fuel usage going. So about 13 or 12 laps to go where I'd really been milking it, lifting really early, coasting through the corners. About that time, I started driving a little bit deeper into the corner, and then as we got about 7 laps to go, I knew I was probably good, and I ran as hard as I could for what my tires would let me at that time, and it was just enough.
And the W here are going to help you out a lot because normally we don't see the people in the championship conversation gamble, which is why when we were talking about Vincent doing it, Dwayne not really up there in the battle, so he could go for the win or go home with nothing. For you, there was a lot on the line with this, but it's your second trip to victory lane, and it pays off huge because now you're in second in the championship and just 11 points off of
Awesome.
Chad Cole with the third place tonight. So you take the gamble in a high-pressure situation. It works for you. Now you're within 11 points, and you have 3 races to get the job done. So I know that you like to know that you're in that spot. How do you approach these next 3 races now and take advantage of really the situation that you found yourself in here tonight by playing that strategy card, playing the gamble, but having it work out for you in a well-decided move?
Yeah, I won't change anything. I mean, I never start up front really anyway, so I'm just going to use the same philosophy. Qualify, go out, start mid-pack, back of the pack, whatever. And as long as we keep getting these types of races where my truck is really good on the last half of the run, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing, nice and easy at the beginning, and then try to make up spots at the end of the run. Obviously, you got to have a lot of green flags for that to work. If I get a lot of yellows, doesn't go too well for me, but I'm just going to go out and try to win every race here. I'm just, that's where I'm at now, and I love to race for championships, so this is exciting.
We definitely look forward to the next 3 races because the championship, not only close amongst you two, but you got some other names up there with Cato, Everhart, and Matthews inside the top 5 that aren't going to be given up anytime soon. So we look forward to the next race in this championship towards round 7 and now into round 8 at Charlotte next Wednesday night. Until then, though, Mike, second trip to victory lane, the sponsors, the shout-outs, all that good stuff. Who makes it happen?
Well, I'd like to thank you guys again, as usual, for the great broadcast in the league. And it's been a good week for me because not only did I now just win 2 in a row, but I also got into the Full Throttle Cup series, and I'm looking forward to running that and competing in that, and got a sponsorship in Kaziski Auto Parts and I-80 Speedway, and I'm really looking forward to getting that season going, but I got to get through this one first. So it's going to be fun.
Yeah, I know the Full Throttle Cup stuff just opened up yesterday, and I believe that's already full. So we're looking forward for that to get underway here in 2016 on Monday nights once the icebreaker stuff and as well the truck stuff comes to a close. Mike, congratulations again on the W. Happy to be here for the call this evening, and thanks for sticking around and chat with us. Best of luck. 3 races to go. Make it fun for us to watch.
Well, thanks to you guys for doing this, and it was really fun, and have a good night.
And we expect this to be no different into the next 3 rounds, because exciting was the definition of tonight's one, and strategy takes it home. Mike Kelly gave to kick off our full field of results from tonight's Michigan 160, the one that ends up on top.
Oh, yeah, on top of the scoring pylon tonight as everybody files out of Michigan International Speedway, Mike Kelly, as you said, pulled off the fuel strategy of basically the year so far. I wouldn't have expected it, and he did a lot of preparation and did 40 laps. Evan, I can't believe he did a full fuel run in practice, and it's key to him. And 24, Mike Kelly is your winner tonight here at Michigan. Daniel Eberhardt got so close but couldn't get there in second. Chad Cole, your points leader, he keeps his lead as he's in third position. Tim Matthews, Justin Michael from the 24th starting position gets into fifth. Mark Bratcher, Stefan Marinac, Ross Cato pulls up and gets into an 8th position. Ken Baum Jr. and Matt LaCrosse round out your top 10.
11th position going to go to Brian Harvey. Scott Simley in 12th. Alex Bergeron 13th. 14th, Corbett Hemstreet. Scott Bolster in 15th. And in 16th position, C.J. LeVere, T.J. Kelly, Dwayne Vincent, Anthony DeBarro, the drivers that round out the lead lap finishers through 19th. And then 20th was Chad Coleman.
21st is going to go to Rodney Perry. He's going to be 8 laps down tonight. The second car, Chad Coleman, is also 8 laps down. But 27 laps down, all these guys, tough nights. Keith Brooks Jr. in the 88. Travis Burke in the 13. 33 laps down in 23rd. 24th is going to go to Bobby Wetzel. Ran up front for most of the first half of this race, then just got caught up in trouble there towards halfway. Stephanie Lessentine, same story. And the 2 drivers who do not take the green flag, John Abbott and Sean Haverly, round out your field.
And I'm not sure you're going to be able to keep me away from the track on Wednesday nights from here on out, but I know Jacob Andy should be back for the next 3 races and resume your regularly scheduled programming for the rest of this championship. But it was a fun race to call, Gabe. I want to thank you for jumping in as well. And if we're not here topside, I can promise you that I'll be at least tuning in, because this championship fixing out to be quite an excited one with Chad Cole, good storyline, trying to get back into RSR Championship victory lane. Mike Kelly in the conversation, Ross Cato, Daniel Eberhardt, Tim Matthews. It's a veteran versus a lot of the hot young guns in RSR, and 3 races left. They're all intermediate racetracks, and Chad Cole says he likes that. So when Chad Cole says he likes something, you're up for a fight. So these next 3 races are going to be tough on those guys, but tonight was fun.
Oh yeah, Evan, you said if we're not working up here, we in the booth, we're going to be watching. Unfortunately, I cover Hardline on Channel 2, and I'm kind of disappointed because I'm not going to be able to watch this championship fight live, but I know I'm going to be hitting that LSRTV YouTube after I get done and watching the recap.
And we encourage you to do the same for the next 3 races of the Wednesday Night Championship as well. Just 2 races to go Monday nights for the RSR Icebreaker Winter Series, and that's where the bulk of the info can be found. I encourage you to give us a like and stay in the conversation as well. You want to join one of these leagues with Real Sim Racing, go to realsimracing.com, and you can find 2016 registration info there. But I do believe the Premier Monday Night Series, the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series, already closed. I'm pretty sure it filled up in just about 12 hours or so. So we're looking forward to that and the rest of 2016. Until next time, thanks for tuning in. And on behalf of everybody at LSRTV, again, I want to thank you for being a part of tonight's coverage. Congratulations to tonight's winner, Mike Kelly, the victor at Michigan. He's bringing the heat to Chad Cole in this 2016 Winter Championship. So for myself, Evan Pasoko, for Gabriel Wood and LSRTV's executive producer, Laura Lawson, I want to thank you one more time and bid you good night from Michigan International Speedway. We'll see you right here next Wednesday on February the 3rd, live from Charlotte for round number 8. Good night.